Hey, what's up, my brothers? This is Enemy Stand User. I hope you guys are doing good. Welcome to my review for the new Jujutsu Kaisen Zero movie and the film brought to us by Mappa Studios. And what an amazing movie that this was. It truly was glorious. Calling this movie an adaptation would really be an understatement. This truly is like a masterpiece, and Mappa really is doing their thing right now, and they're really capturing JJK in this perfect way. But before I go into it, just to get a couple of things out the way, I will be going into spoilers and some pretty heavy stuff in the manga, so I really don't want you guys to be spoiled at all or have your experience sullied at all. So please make sure you are caught up in the manga, as well as if you can, to already have watched the movie, because even if you are a manga reader, there's some pretty big and cool stuff that goes on in this movie that you might miss out on. So, and again, I'll try to keep my thoughts and stuff as simple as I can while explaining it all to y'all, because I really don't think I could cover like everything, but I really want to express my thoughts to y'all of how much I like this movie and dive into some major things about why I like this so much as specifically like a JJK fan. But let's dive into my review. It's more, I guess you could call this more like a discussion than a review, but I'll still call it a review for my take on Jujutsu Kaisen Zero, the movie, because it is so incredibly hype. One of the first things getting into this review before going into like the animation and everything is the music. The music hits hard, and hearing like King Gnu and all the different people who I believe they're the same people who worked on the JJK anime. I would totally butcher their names, but I'll try to put it up on screen. It was amazing to hear in theaters, and it just puts you in the zone, and the music really added another layer to the different scenes and the different fights. It just made you feel like you were there in the scenes and you were in the story. And especially for like emotional scenes when they're trying to make you feel a certain type of way with Rika, it always hit me with Rika's melody. That was really crazy. It was so good, and it really made me feel for Yuta and Rika's relationship, if that makes a little bit of sense. Like, it was really on another level with the music. But when it's time to battle and when it's time to throw hands, that's when the music really kicked off, and Mappa just has us like really out of our seats with this sort of animation and the choreography, plus the pumped up music. It was really amazing, and definitely one of the best animated films that I've ever seen. And the music really brings the story to life, and it fits so well with every scene, no matter how small, and you really just have to see it to really believe it. And of course, the biggest point in the movie is the animation, and this definitely is world-class Sakuga, and the animation and the art on the big screen is absolutely outstanding. And what Mappa pulled off was truly a masterpiece. Like, every frame was on point with the overall flow of the film and the choreography, everything. When the scenes kicked into high gear, you really felt it, and Mappa really flexes just how good they are at bringing JJK to life. And the Yuta fights were really good, and every fight back to back was hype. And I'll point out more stuff about the fights and the characters and the art style in my upcoming points, but the animation really blows up. It really blows me away of how good it is. Even with like really minute scenes, they have such detailed frames. And especially like for example, a scene like with Gero Suguru, and how his face moves and how it contorts when he's stating his ambition at the end, as well as like all the curses and how curses move like Rika and everything. That was crazy. Like, it doesn't matter how small the curse is, how minor it is, like every curse, they have amazing artwork, amazing effects, just with everything. The overall flow was amazing, and like each second felt like a masterpiece. So big props to Mappa. Getting into more scene and character focused stuff now, the first person I want to go over and point out is Yuta. And if you came into the theaters not knowing anything at all about Yuta, I really do hope you at least left loving him, because he was so well portrayed in this movie and in this film. The way he started off was so weak, jumping around, he was scared of everything, he was kind of suicidal. It was honestly, it was actually a little bit funny the way he was at times, but it was also really sad seeing how heavily his own curse impacted Yuta, and it was affecting his life. Like, right from the beginning of the movie, we see kind of how Yuta's morning routine is and how he was truly completely alone socially, and how he was completely fine being that sort of outcast. And we see his morning routine. He's just fine cutting himself off from people. And Mappa really shows how Yuta over time is forming connections with people like Maki, people like Toge and Panda and Gojo. And we really do see how he grows as a character, especially at the climax of the movie when he grows as a sorcerer. And the movie does a perfect job at showing that Yuta doesn't want to be alone anymore. He really wants to form connections with people, and he wants to protect his future with everyone and with his friends, especially when his rage pops off and we see his raw emotion. That was amazing to see animated, and the bloodlust that he had in all of its glory, and his relationship with Rika wrapping up and showing his true love, true ambition, true emotion, and true power to surpass over Geto. Rika too, the way Mappa made Rika was so eerie, so scary, and it was extremely loud to hear her curse form roar, and her voice reverberates in theaters like that. Shook me, and she was very creepy in the film, and the movie really portrays that. And each of her entrances always gave me chills each time, and it really makes you think that she is a giant uncontrollable monster child. And the movie does an excellent job at emphasizing that in certain scenes, and that really is unnerving for her curse form. But that's really what we want. Rika was so incredibly well done in this movie. Also, seeing Rika Orimoto was very good as in her human form and that child form, and how Yuta and Rika's relationship was before all the madness happened, because it really showed how wholesome they were as children and how their unrequited love was, I guess. But it was it's just a very messed up situation, because that really was Yuta's best friend, that really was his love interest, and it just really gave eerie vibes when we saw that when Rika died, and that sort of scene when they were kids. That was kind of crazy to see, and the reality of the situation when it did hit. But Mappa did an amazing job with Rika, and giving us little extra scenes with her in the hospital, like that kind of explained why they got together so much. I guess they were in the children's hospital, but Mappa did an incredible job portraying her overall. Geto Suguru too, he was glorious. To see him animated was definitely one of the best things to come out of this movie. And he's definitely, if you are a manga fan, he's definitely very different from Kenjaku and very outgoing, and his VA did fantastic. He was like Subarashi Akotsu ware like even Yuta's VA, and how soft spoken when it was time to battle, that whole situation, like those voice actors, they were popping off. They really were popping off, and the movie, they brought the movie to another level, especially with Geto. And the way Geto's scenes were, they really made everything seem eerie and corrupted, as she is a special grade curse user in the story. And of course he is the main antagonist, but his ideas were so corrupted. They really brought to life this sort of like shamanism, this sort of esotericism, this godly outlook as a sorcerer above humans. It really made you feel the impact. Each time Geto spoke, you really saw how he just preached his ideas, and I just thought he was so well done in this story, and his powers and abilities were very unreal, and it really was fitting as like sorcerers so tied in with curses, and how he unleashed the 100 demons, and how that whole war situation was in those events. And his final battle with Yuta was especially godlike. And you get to see a little bit of an extra side of him, and how you have to really appreciate this as a JJK fan, how they put in little extra details, like with Nanako and Mimiko, and how he really cared about sorcerers, and he really understands sorcerers. Even his relationship with Gojo, and how Gojo of all people understood Geto and understood his actions, with them being former friends, and actually seeing extra exclusive manga content being animated and teased in the movie. That was absolutely insane. And with hints at like the hidden inventory and premature death arc, that was just something else straight up. And it really took the movie from magnificent to absolutely flawless as a JJK fan. And I'll touch on that stuff a little bit later as I go on with this review, but the extra stuff that Mappa put in really took this movie to the next level, and they really were just doing their thing. Before moving on to the extra content that was put into the movie though, and other little details, focusing on characters more, Panda and Toge as well, their duo was very cool. Panda was super funny. I mean, Mappa really had fun with him. He was hilarious. And Toge was really cool as well. The way his fights were, the way his cursed speech was. And that was really something else. And just seeing cursed speech, how it sounded, how it was animated, how it looked with all the effects and everything, that was phenomenal. That really was flawless. I love the way cursed speech was used and how Mappa animates it. And when they had their big moment with Geto and how they fought, that was insane to see them pop off like that, and how fierce they could be in their raw drive as sorcerers. That was really good to see. And their relationship with Yuta as well, and how they got to know him more, how they fought for him, how they fought for Maki. Just overall cool to see how they were spotlighted in that way. And that scene where Gojo summoned Toge and Panda to go to Jujutsu High and save Yuta, that was something else. When they were skydiving and they got teleported over there, Mappa really did not have to hit us with that. They could have completely glazed over that, but that whole transitional scene, that was super clean and super dope to see them fight again. That was amazing. And of course, Maki. She had excellent synergy with everyone. She's the same stubborn Maki that we know, and she had that hard exterior, and it was super smooth and super OP when she fought, absolutely flexing her heavenly restriction and her skill with cursed tools. And I was excited to see that from her. But we also get a look at under her hard exterior, we see a little bit of a softer side to her and that soft feeling, and that was really what I was excited for, to see how they would portray this in this movie, because she's fresh off from, I believe she's fresh off from leaving the clan and joining as a Jujutsu sorcerer. And I like that scene that they did with her mother. I think it was her mother and her leaving the clan, and that really dark sequence there. I'm pretty sure that was a reference to the Perfect Preparation arc. I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure that's what it was. And it was good seeing her make connections with Yuta and have that softer side with her, and she's starting to be accepted and looked up upon by Yuta as a senpai or something like that, or someone older and more experienced. And it's really wholesome that we're definitely going to see that, and we're definitely going to see like a lot more shippers and things like that, and fan art based on her screen time alone. But all the first years, they all have good synergy, good relationships, and with Gojo as well, and they just give so much personality to the movie and to the world of JJK. Just seeing how Yuta comes to life, and really how he comes to love and comes to grow with them in this film, it really does hit the heart. Moving on from that though, let's talk about the true fun. Let's talk about the extra stuff and all the little bonus scenes that Mappa added. And man, oh man, that was true fire. That was nothing but straight up gas and fire. And I love how in like the declaration of war part, and with Geto, it really added a lot of weight to the situation. And Geto seemed to have made that whole war thing everyone's problem, and Mappa portrayed this like that, like everyone is here. And even like little stuff with Yaga and his English is like Joseph Joestar English, just like god damn, like that was pretty funny to see, and that was pretty crazy. I thought that was hilarious. And we just saw, like in Yaga's speech, we in his war speech, we saw things like characters like Mei, we saw Nanami, Ino, the homie Kusakabe. Like that's pretty unreal seeing Kusakabe animated, because he's all the way in Shibuya, and that's really crazy. But it's really small as well, because he's not anything major or anything, but just seeing him and Ino and their powers and everything, that was kind of crazy to see, and it just made me feel so much more closer to Shibuya. But the main battle with the curses, that was where the true fun begins. And in this 100 Demons event, We see loads of unnamed sorcerers, background sorcerers, extra sorcerers in this. And what's interesting about it is that they all have really unique designs and unique faces. Like Mappa really didn't have to portray them in any sort of capacity. The whole background scenes didn't even need to happen, but I really appreciate how Mappa went the extra step and the extra mile to do that as a JJK fan. That's truly amazing, and it really showed the intensity of this war. It really made it feel like the war with all these Jujutsu foot soldiers in here and really fighting, giving it their all. And everyone we know and love is involved in this sort of 100 Demons event. Like, and they really get spectacular moments. Like Ino and Kusakabe, they have awesome moments and awesome interaction. Even though Ino is an absolute pleb, in my opinion, his power was awesome to see. Even if it was just for like 3 seconds, we get to see his power. And also Nanami, when we see his power, that was amazing. I'll get back to that. But Mei, that was crazy to see her take out her axe Shibuya style and take out hordes of curses. And back to Nanami, where he got his Black Flash record using it 4 times and taking out a huge curse. But what was interesting about that and the Nanami situation is that with these hordes of Jujutsu sorcerers, they were dropping like flies in this sort of war, and they were dying all over the place, being killed by curses, and everyone was losing hope. You even felt that in that scene. But what's crazy is that when Nanami saw that, he stepped in and he really gave the sorcerers hope. Like you could really feel it in the theater. Like he gave them hope, and that was so hype. It was such a small scene. I wouldn't even feel this way, but Nanami just gives you hope in that way because of his strength and his maturity. That, like, Mappa did not need to do that, but that was amazing for them. And Iiri too, to see her handle that situation with everyone injured in that sort of way, that she just has her handful trying to deal with that whole mess, and the mess Geto made everyone in. But that whole situation, it actually felt like a straight up war with deaths and everything. That was amazing. Then we see the Kyoto students as well. We see that they're really clean as they work as a sort of unit and as a team. Mai was long range, Miwa used her sword in simple domain, Mekamaru used his cannons, Momo was sort of scouting. It was very fitting, and Kamo was leading the group and helping out with sort of blood manipulation and everything as he's like overall. So they work pretty good as a team, and as this sort of unit, they're pretty efficient. However, while all this craziness is going on, they wonder, well, where's Todo at? And Todo is just completely doing his own thing as this sort of unit, and he's in his element through these explosions. He's like a one-man army, and you know he's about to pop off. He's got his shirt off, he's a brother, he's ready, he's revving. And they kind of meet up with Todo for a bit as Todo talks, says his nonsense and says his stuff about Tadaka-chan, but we don't get a moment with Todo. We don't really get that satisfying moment with him like we did with everyone else. And that was honestly kind of, that was for me, especially for me, because Todo's my favorite character. But that wasn't really that was kind of, I'm a bit salty about that, because the manga even said and boasted how Todo took out like 5 grade 1 spirits and a special grade, like you got to give him something. So it's capped that they didn't really give Todo a true moment, but we move on. I'm kind of salty about that, but this movie is way too clean to be low about that and things like that. And in the mix of all this, we actually get to see Gojo's fight and him fighting with Miguel. My nigga Miguel, bro. And that was ultra clean and ultra hype, because Miguel has this cursed tool called Black Rope, woven by his people from Africa, that disrupts and neutralizes curse techniques. So Gojo actually could not use Limitless against Miguel, so that made an interesting situation in their fight. And we see Gojo switch up from warping his speed to hand-to-hand combat, CQC combat, with that initial reveal and how he was fighting. That was crazy insane. Sakuga, the way they were fighting and everything with Miguel, that was one of the most hype scenes in the movie. And also that initial reveal with Gojo's power and how he used Reversal Red and how he used that orb to take out that curse. And we see him take out the curse. Then we see the insane impact and how it kind of shook the whole city. That was crazy. that was insane to see Gojo like flex his power like that, because I think, yeah, that was insane to see, because I think he was really flexing on Miguel, like, you better stay on your right now, man. That was crazy. And that it was also cool to see how Miguel was kind of trying to stall, at least attempt to stay alive and their fight, and really it was to stall Gojo and make his quota. And also how Mappa portrayed the help of the curses and how the curses were helping out the curse users out. So that was kind of crazy to see, and how Mappa kind of gave the commanders some control over the curses, and little extra scenes like Nanako and Mimiko being inside the curses. It was overall, it was pretty cool how Mappa integrated that into that, and it kind of explained a little bit of things about how they could how they had an advantage in that situation if everything was crazy like that. But Miguel, my boy Miguel, was the MVP, and it's so cool to see that Miguel also wasn't truly on the curse user side, as he does join the Jujutsu sorcerers later on in the story. And Miguel's overall kind of attitude toward the whole situation, like he was just fed up and done, and he kind of just wanted to get out of that situation. And especially his animosity, not his animosity, his annoyance toward Gojo is also just kind of hilarious, and how he doesn't really like that guy. And my last point before wrapping up was Yuta's relationship with Geto, and how they kind of interacted through the whole story, and how Geto really was trying to influence Yuta. It was amazing to see how he had this sort of relationship with shamans, and how Geto was with sorcerers. But it was so, their final battle was so over the top, and literally everything we could want as JJK fans. That battle was extremely amazing, and Yuta using Rika and his cursed speech with his power blowing away Geto, and using his power to keep up with Geto was outright amazing. And it really showed us how raw Yuta is, and how strong he is on a fundamental level, using his emotions to really curse Geto. And Mappa gave us, they gave Yuta Black Flash in this, they gave him Black Flash in this awesome guitar riff, this musical sequence, and we see him perform it like Kaisen, like this guitar riff like that. That moment was just so clean, that it was so over the top, and it just further emphasizes Yuta's combat prowess and his raw desire to kill and surpass Geto. Like Geto was, well, he was no slouch either. He was really good. He was really supreme as a sorcerer, and the way he was good at CQC combat, and seeing the inventory curse as well as him using Playful Cloud was an awesome clash against Yuta's sword, was insane. And his army of curses that he used as well, and that was amazing for his art, for the type of art that, or the type of character that Geto is, and the way he fights. That was amazing. Then in their final clash, Yuta gives Rika everything to further surpass the limits of his power in pure love, and Geto pulls out an imaginary curse, Tamamo no Me, with Uzumaki. And at this point, Mappa is just flexing their animation and making this the most hype moment. And the way Mappa made the vengeful curse appear was so creepy. It was so fitting with the whole Jujutsu vibe, and also especially the way Uzumaki formed and was portrayed as this amalgamation of chaos, suffering, and curses. That was S-class art design, that was S-class art direction, and that truly was next level, the way that was portrayed. And Geto in this clash, it was truly like a clash of souls, a clash of dreams, and they were just surpassing their limits at this point. It was amazing. That's really about it for my thoughts though. Mappa truly brought this film to life and really made me laugh. It made me sad, it made me happy, it made me hype, and it really is a 10 out of 10 masterpiece for me as a JJK fan. But I guess if I was to give this movie a critique, or rather for the sake of the review to point out some negatives, it would be like, a sort of negative would be like the pacing at the beginning felt a little bit slow to me and kind of hard to follow to the beginning, and that that's not really Mappa's fault because of what they had to work with based off of the manga. But to me, my mind was all over the place because of what they had to work with based on the manga. And even in JJK and the main story, I didn't really mess with the beginning of the story too much with Yuji and the school and all that. I really didn't mess with that all too much, but the beginning of JJK 0, that too was a little bit. And the first mission and stuff with Maki and all that when it was first starting out, the animation was insane, but when it was first starting out and the dialogue and all that, I was kind of like, okay. And I also think, like, if you're not familiar with the story, or you never really got into JJK, or you never really read JJK 0, there would be a lot that you wouldn't really pick up on or really appreciate. It's small stuff, but it can make a big difference, like cursed energy, heavenly restriction, little stuff that you could pick up on to really appreciate the story. So you would kind of have to be a JJK fan to 100% appreciate everything that Mappa put on the table. The film was amazing. Mappa really brought Yuta's story to life, and the whole movie was like a roller coaster of emotion. Again, Mappa really brought Yuta's story. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. The animation was beautiful. The Sakuga was some of the best in the industry, and if you could find any sort of nitpicky stuff, to me, you could kind of gloss that over or blaze that over by Gege's story and Mappa's insane talent and kind of cover that up. And that's why I think it's 10 out of 10, because I really couldn't ask for a better movie as a JJK fan. Oh, they didn't give Toto a moment though, so they kind of slacked on his moment. So as a brother, I can't let that slide. 0.2 out of 10. Can't believe they gave that boy Ino a moment, but they didn't give Toto a moment. Heresy. That's complete heresy. I'm joking if you couldn't tell, but Mappa has this insane production. Everyone on the entire team did an outstanding job with this gem. From the music to the animation, it was all S-class, and the quality was outstanding, and I really do look forward to more projects and stuff that Mappa has prepared in the future. And it's a extremely good time to be a Yuta fan right now, and what's happening in the manga and the movie coming out. Yuta is getting gas, but that's about it. I'll give this review 15 out of 20 Sakuna fingers and 4 crying Totos. Sounds about right. And this has been Enemy Stand User. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.